Hey, you guys are looking for a brand new 3 Series BMW, and you know that the brand new G20 just came out. The 330 came out in 2019, and now the 340 came out in 2020. You're wondering which one should you spend your money on? The 330 MSRP is about 50 grand Canadian, whereas you got to spend about 70 grand for the 340. Is it worth the difference? Is there enough of value in spending the extra money to buy the 340 over the 330 here? Let's talk about that now. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Mark with exoticcarplayplace. So let's get into the differences, and you make your own judgment. I'll tell you what I think if the money is worth spending on the 340. So the 330 here has the standard grills. As you can see, BMW has the traditional vertical grills. Now inside there, that moves around based on cooling needs. It also helps with the coefficient of drag. But essentially, the cosmetic look of this grille with the verticals is a dead giveaway. This is the 330xi, or the 330 model has the vertical grills. But the 340 has an entirely different grille, and if you look up close, you can see the 340 has sort of an X-mark style of grille. It's an entirely different, that's one distinctive way to tell the difference between the 330 and 340. So another key difference is the 330xi, like I have here, or iX, whichever you prefer. This one is the standard 18-inch wheels, 18-inch across. It has the lower rating, speed rating on these tires, so it's rated for 130 miles per hour. Now there's an upgrade. You can go to a 19-inch, you can go to the Sport package, gets you into the larger wheels, and it can actually get you a speed rating of up to 155 miles per hour. Now the M340i has an entirely different setup. It's standard 19-inch wheels, and it's always rated for 155 miles per hour, as in typical BMW format. So another key difference happens to be in the transmission. Now, while they both have an 8-speed transmission available to the car, if you look down here, you'll notice this is pretty typical for whether you buy the 330 or the 340. It has a similar shifter here on both models. Difference is if you get the upgraded, it's an option in the 330, but it's standard in the 340. You can get the Sport Shift transmission with paddle shifters behind the steering wheels. That's typical, standard for M340i, or optional for the 330. So again, cosmetically, both cars, the 330 and the M340i, are very, very similar. But where it all really counts is what's under the hood. So let's take a look on the 330 here is what we're looking at. The BMW 330 has a 2-liter turbocharged engine that produces 255 horsepower and about 295 pound-feet of torque out of this car. And out of that, it produces 0 to 60 times of about 5.6 seconds. Very brisk for a 4-cylinder engine. This car actually does accelerate very quickly. Put the hammer down, it's pretty obvious that this thing is more than capable. Yep, it definitely gets up and goes pretty quickly. So it does very well. So the question is the upgrade to the M340 worth it? So in the M340, we have a totally different set of specifications. So instead of the 2-liter here, in the M340, we have a 3-liter straight 6 engine, the B58 engine by BMW, that produces 382 horsepower and a staggering 369 pound-feet of torque for a small displacement 6-cylinder engine. Now that is a great amount of performance out of that B58. It's actually the same engine that they put in the new Supra and virtually any of the other 40 series cars in the BMW lineup, by the way. But it really is a performance machine. Not quite full M, but very close to it. With that type of output, a 0 to 60 time of about 4.2 seconds. Very brisk. It's actually faster than some of the older previous generation M3s. So it does a spectacular job in performing, accelerating, does decent fuel economy, and you package that up with the all-wheel drive and you have a car that can perform and handle all the conditions you can throw at it. So really, a lot of the features, the elements, the interior features, the finishing, a lot of the different parts and components are very comparable. The majority of what this boils down to is what's underneath the hood. And so you have to ask yourself whether that is the value, whether that's worth it. In my mind, 100%, I would spend the extra $20,000 and get the M340i. After all, you've got that little M badge on there, which is sort of fake, but nonetheless, you get a vast amount more power, improved acceleration and performance, a few extra standard options like the 155 miles per hour, you get the better wheel package, and the standard sport shift transmission with the paddle shifters. To me, it's worth the extra. It's entirely up to you guys, but it is definitely a premium to be paid. So if you really like the video, guys, make sure you check out that link right down below in the end screen here. That's gonna take you to the full review of this 330xi. And the other video in the link will take you to my review of the 340. So if you wanna learn about both, they're both available and they click the end screen, you're good to go. So hope to see you guys on one of those other videos. Make sure you drop a line. See you then. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.